Hey, what's going on, guys? It's NoAF here. In this video, I'm going to be showcasing you guys some Libromancer combos. But before we do that, I'm just going to go over the lists for the specific combos that we're going to be doing. So, if you see any deck count below 40, it's because the rest can be whatever you want, right? And so I'm going to shortly go over these builds. So we have the Stripped Down Isold, which is focused on limiting the amount of bricks that we have in deck and maximizing the amount of ways we can get to Isold and as consistently as possible without adding more bricks. Which is, this build has a 58% chance to draw what you need for the full combo. And this does not include Prosperity. Prosperity is like another calculation I like to do. But Prosperity, think of it as a way to get to anything you're missing. As it's a very high chance to see a Ritual as well as a very high chance to see a Libro starter. We play 11 Rituals and 9 Libro starters, so we have a really good chance. And the next list is going to be a Christia version with 2 more semi-bricks. The reason I say they're semi-bricks because they kind of don't suck. This is an okay normal summon, and we can special summon Diviner from Grave. Although it does play into Bestials, we can still do it. And at worst case scenario, it's an extra copy of Ben 10, which really isn't that bad and can definitely help those hands if we like grab it off the prosp, and that's like our only prosperity target. And so it's really not that bad, and can even work pretty well if you don't open hands with like a Diviner, which is fine. I respect that. It's also a really sick target to tribute off the Diviner. But this video isn't a deck profile video, so I won't be getting too much in detail here. But this list has pretty much the same amount of consistency. However, whenever we start with Diviner, we can basically get into Christia. I'm going to be showcasing that combo as well. Well, of course, all the combos. And so let's get to the next list. This is the old list that I went into locals with, and I was fairly familiar with it. Of course, minus the Illusion of Chaoses, but these can be whatever you want. Illusion of Chaos really does help the consistency of the deck, so I'd recommend picking them up. However, I'd wait until they're reprinted, as they're really expensive right now. So a really good consistency card you can play instead, like in the other list, I play Prosp. That card can pretty much add anything you want. So let's get to the next list. We have the main Christia build. This build is meant for minimizes as much bricks as possible and maximizes on ways to get to the Christia combo. And basically, if you don't know what Christia does, it says your opponent cannot, well, neither player cannot special summon, and it also adds a fairy. So yeah, that's a pretty good effect. And so we can play TTT. You can cut these, you can play an agent, but yeah, I'm not going to get too much into that. So yeah, let's move on to the next list here. We have the Durandal Mikanko list. This list is made for maximizing the amount of ceiling this deck has. Basically, we go into Power Tool Braver, equip Durandal, and then Durandal add Oliver. Oliver send probably like a Fire Dance or a Rondo, not a Rondo, sorry, in a Brass that we equip with the Braver to summon itself and then make a Barone. That's a pretty sick combo, but it does add 2 more cards in the deck, which you might not want to see. For example, if you draw Oliver, it kind of makes this dead, but it's not a bad card, especially if you play Souls. This is the list I'd play Souls the most in because we play Durandal, especially if we play a high spell count, as it can just help unbreak hands. Alright, those are the lists. Let's get into the combos. This combo is going to be the Durandal combo, and I'll basically go through it with you guys here. So we all know what Geek Boy does. Special summon stuff, add Appearance. Well, adds any spell card, but Appearance is the one that we mainly use. Add Fire, Special Fire. Fire effect, we're going to grab Agent, so we have the Warrior on field, as well as the Add Back, which will definitely increase our hand size. So we've already added the 2 cards in hand, and we already our Doombroker is now live to Ritual Summon, but we're going to wait until we get a Ben 10 in hand for maximum efficiency here. But if you get hit, you definitely end on 1 Omni Negate at least. And so if you didn't see what we did, we summoned out Hare. Well, we summoned out Renault. Renault would add back a Brask, and then Brask equipped to Renault, bounce it back for Hare. Hare effect, add Fire Dance, and then special to Renault in hand. Yes, it has an effect in hand. It's pretty good. Summoned itself as a tuner, so you can make Arclight, link it off, add Benton, and then that opens up our Doombroker to attribute it, and then we can add Diviner, which is our main normal summon, or you can just do the Cross Sheep line as well. So this is a pretty good thing. And then here we're gonna make our Braver. Cannot be targeted since Sprite Elf. And we're basically going to equip 2 from deck. Well, 1 from deck, 1 from grave. And then, yeah, we grab the Oliver. Oliver pitch this, special summon itself, make Barone. And then we're going to just Ceremony, pitch Rondo. And if you don't know what we did, we put the Oliver on the Barone in case our elf gets hit. And so if they like try to battle phase, crash the elf so they avoid a pop, which really doesn't work. But yeah, they basically just either try to crash the elf and to try and get rid of the targeting protection, so that way they could probably like do a targeted removal on Barone or whatever, which doesn't really come up. But we essentially just double protect it by targeting, so it's literally free if you play the combo, right? And then we also have the Abrask protecting it by card effect, making it if they Regeki, we at least have one negate. Assuming they like spend their resources trying to stop the Omni negate here. But usually you just stop the Omni negate, but it's free. It's literally free, so I can't complain. Also, you can bounce back summon from hand or deck, but that doesn't really come up. But yeah, it's a pretty good combo. Let's get into the next one. And this combo is basically the main line for the strip down build. So this does not include the Braver. So we're just going to summon our Geek Boy here. Go through the standard line you've seen in the last combo here. But what sets this list apart is the fact that it's a lot more consistent, as we don't have to draw Oliver or Durandal. Although in certain situations those aren't really bricks, we just rather not see them in our hand. Also, as a side note, Hari isn't a brick because we can always have Abrask alive if it's in hand. So we can like do the mainline combo, just summon it from hand, and then it's fine. But you do kind of go -1 for it. But it's better than no combo at all, and not being able to go into the standard Herald here. But yeah, it definitely works, right? Alright, for the cross sheep line, this is where it differs. You can just make cross sheep instead of making elf, so we just make it on top of the Isold, and we essentially use fire dance to special summon Hari here, and then use cross sheep's effect to draw 2, discard 2 with discard the diviner, and then we're gonna make elf with Hari and cross sheep, and that will allow us to go into the standard line, getting 2 draws, discard 2, as well as feeding diviner and grave. This line does play into bestials, but it's whatever. This line doesn't though. Here we can make IP if you're not playing Barone. Because with the cross sheep line, you could revive and then save your normal summon for the fire. And then using fire and the diviner, you could just make a copy of Barone, which is fine. And you could probably make an IP on top of that, but that would be crowding your space. And I'd rather just stick to the basics here. This hand is basically 1 discard, bend 10, and appearance. What happens if you see these 2 in your hand? Appearance isn't full combo, however you can combo with it, so it's not a terrible break. It just basically searches your extenders, but you'd rather see a Geek Boy or a Fire or an E-Telly instead. Which is why we play 2 in this list at least. If you don't know what's going on, we're basically just attributing the bend 10, making this, search whatever disruption we need. And then this just sits on this, right? We sit on 2 Omni Negates plus a Snatch, which is a pretty good board. Some decks can play through it, but nonetheless, unless they open to the absolute nut, if you hit their choke points, they're not going to be able to play. And this is a 2.5 card hand, so you have essentially two other cards in hand, which you can use either for follow-up or even extension here. But yeah, let's get into the next combo. In this combo, I'm going to be showing you the Christia line with the regular combo. Well, with the regular stripped down list here. So we're going to activate appearance grab whatever, summon fire, add agent, you get it, alright. The reason why we can do this combo is because we see the diviner first. It's just because the way fairies are, well, what Christia is, right, we have to play around Christia. since we have to have 4 engraved in order to summon her. So it can be a little weird. However, you can still do it, and you could do it fairly easy even. And we even make a fat Apo on top of that, so their opponent's not going to really be able to play much here. And we can trigger off our Benten, grab Christia, revive the Diviner so we have the name, and then we could summon the Christia, grab back whatever. The problem is crowding. We have to summon the Petite back, which can be kinda yikes. And we have to, in order to, well, we have to summon the Petite just for the effect to, well, just for the Christie to be live, so we get 4 engraved. It could be kind of weird like that. However, if they do Bestial, we could play through 1 Bestial in terms of being able to summon Christia, right? It is an inherent summon, so they can't respond to it. So that's good. Christie is also a really nice card. Like, being able to go plus as well as it putting itself back on top of the deck can be pretty good. Because let's say it gets removed, draw it for turn, summon it, get rid of it again. Right? That's assuming they don't have a board. But yeah, they're not playing, right? That's the idea of this specific list. We have 3 monster negates, 1 omni negate, 1 snatch steal. The only problem is when we're under a Christia, we can't summon follow-up, right? We can't summon fire. But that's okay because it clears the way, making the Ohime alive, assuming we activate this first. But yeah, get into the next one. This list is the exact same hand, but with the Christia build. Let's show you what it can do. Now, it doesn't go as crazy as the previous build, but plays a lot less bricks, and can play more consistently, has more consistent access to Christia. Which is the main goal of this build. Is basically Christia Turbo, and if you don't, you sit on Ohime, Baron, and Doombroker, right? Just basically like the other combo. But this list relies specifically on Benten. But yeah, we basically just end up. Another nice thing about this list is that we can Xyz summon. You can do some really funny Xyz summon. And so at the end, well, before you summon the Christia, we want to make sure we activate the Doombroker and all that stuff first. We want to have Dweller or Baguska. Baguska is a fairly funny card because we can make it on our turn, of course, and then have everything switch to defense, which it does, and they can't beat over our Christia. As well as our Baguska and our Christia cannot be targeted by effects, right? They just cannot be targeted. And they can't really beat over the elf unless they make a code breaker, beat over the Baguska or the elf. But they're not going to be able to special summon in the first place. So we don't even have to worry about that. And they can't impermanent, so game 1, if you set up this board, it's pretty much you get a win. And you can just sit on Christia, right? We have multiple attackers, so we can just switch this into attack, swing into a guy, and then just swing direct for 28, pass turn. You do that, and then you just keep on summoning big guys. Normal summon a big guy, do it again. But if you really want to out it, you can always normal summon Diviner, send Entis pop. This will put it back on top of the deck. And you could do things where essentially you can just Christia again at the end of your turn. Or when you just need that extra power to push through the board or whatnot. Let's get into the next combo. This is the Christia list, except we can't make Christia with this hand. But I'm going to show you what this combo can do. This is specifically any Libro starter and access to Benten. We play roughly 10 Bentens. So as long as we have this hand, we can pull it off. Right. If you don't want to normal summon Diviner, we can do some things where we go to Cross Sheep first. But this disables the ability to make Barone. However, you can probably still make IP. I'll have to fact check that. But essentially, we normal summon Diviner and special summon, and we link these two off for Elf. And we're just going to summon it. This line does play into Bestials. If you want to play around Bestials, you just simply do the combo with... You essentially just don't make Elf, keep the Geek Boy in defense, and just Turbo Barone. and you don't have to worry about the bestial. But this is just extra protection here. The elf should have put it into this zone or whatever, making Ohime and Baron, because we want these two to be protected. We don't really care about the Doombroker because we're just gonna bounce it back. But yeah, always a good trick is to summon Doombroker in this zone or this zone, right under the EMZ, as it can play around, as it's just a good thing to do. Since Oler guys point here, well, elf points here, so we can protect whatever we want. Here, Oler big guys will go here, here, or here. So yeah. And that was all the combos. Surprisingly, not that many. I know. But the idea of the combos is to learn specific lines you can make to make your experience fairly linear and straightforward, especially going first. Going second can be a little interesting, but it really depends on their board, which is why I'm not showcasing that in this video. If they have multiple Omnis, you kind of want to be able to bait it out or just simply draw the Lava Golem. That's a good way of doing it. You grab a Lava Golem, just put it on their field, right? Which is why we main Lava Golem. This deck cannot play through Disruption that well, assuming we don't draw like our board breakers. At least with these lists, we have a Brask, which is an okay board breaker, and Rondo, which is an okay board breaker. But I'd rather just see a Lava Golem or a Sphere mode, right? In the side, I'd recommend putting in 3 Sphere modes as well. But this isn't a deck profile list, so I won't bore you guys any longer. This list was the list I was playing at locals, minus the Illusion of Chaos and Souls. And I bricked twice. I went X4 though, so it wasn't really that important. I lost every dice roll, and I couldn't find a board breaker for the life of me, or I saw 2 Lava Golem and like 2 evenly matched, right? And that just sucks. But yeah, I feel like this deck has a lot of potential and can perform well, but this deck suffers to a lot of hand traps. Not so much bestials, but just a lot of hand traps, using like Ash, Imper, and Veiler. Droll is also a card. Nibiru can hurt if you can't make Barone early, which is alright. But assuming they can't make Barone, then it's pretty good. If you're playing this deck looking for an insane combo deck, this isn't the deck. Because yes, it has really nice boards, but other decks can do similar. Of course, Christia is something particular this strategy can do. I would say this is probably the better ritual deck to play right now. Another thing, you could just play Tier. Like, nothing's stopping you from playing Tier, unless it's like money related. I think next video I'm going to talk about the percentages more and see how my experience at locals go with the Christia list and let you know my findings. But yeah, overall, if it goes, it goes. We are losing about 5 to 8% consistency, which can mean a lot, but that's a whole different story. I won't get too much in. If you guys like the video, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, as it does help the channel. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next video.